It looks like we're going to have resolution to the whole Xbox Activision situation by the end of the week. And that's very good news for those that are sort of invested in it, like myself. I know listening to the court case, it was very interesting to hear what was going on. And there's been some announcements that really don't bode well for Sony in the long run. Now, of course, we're going to have to wait and see. And everybody's going to be talking about this at like sort of different intervals. And depending on where their loyalties lie, I guess we'll be having different opinions on these things. But from what I can see, I think it looks like Microsoft has really come out swinging. They've really come out and looked great. They have not really had any kind of situation where they look bad, and even the judge seems kind of mystified at the FTC for attempting to go out there and prove something, especially when we realize that this is supposed to be a thing where they're trying to block for quote-unquote consumers and to stop that from being like some kind of a monopoly. But at the end of the day, they mentioned consumers, I think, 9 times, and they mentioned Sony specifically 111. So who exactly are they worried about in this instance? I think that it really does kind of look a little bit suspect, to say the least. And for me, personally, I look at this and I go, this is very much one of those instances that it's very questionable, to say the least, but you have to look at it and go, well, again, Microsoft has come such a long way. What's going to happen in the future with this, if it does go through, maybe if it doesn't. So let's wait and kind of see what happens. I really do hope that everybody kind of understands that what Microsoft is doing and why. We get a good, clear idea and explanation as to why Microsoft is doing this. And to be quite honest with you, Jim Ryan and Sony have been lying to everybody right from the beginning, as it came out from his deposition and stuff that he wasn't concerned about Call of Duty Xbox exclusivity. So there's been a narrative for some time now that PlayStation was worried about Microsoft pulling Activision's blockbuster Call of Duty away from its own market. However, in the Microsoft FTC trial update, a private email from PlayStation boss Jim Ryan, a former Sony president, Chris Deering, quoting during the hearing, reveals that the gaming division had seemingly had no real concerns about the multiplayer-driven FPS becoming an Xbox exclusive. Now, in this email, which was dated January 20th of 2022, Ryan mentioned how the deal wasn't about exclusivity, and he felt Microsoft was thinking bigger than that. He went on to suggest that Call of Duty would likely remain on PlayStation for a long time. Jim Ryan said this, and I quote, "It is not exclusivity play at all. They're thinking bigger than that. They have the cash to make moves like this. I've spent a fair amount of time with Phil Spencer and Bobby Kotick, and I'm pretty sure we will continue to see Call of Duty on PlayStation for years to come. We have some good stuff cooking. I'm not complacent. I'd rather this didn't happen, but we'll be okay. We'll be more than okay." So that's what he had to say about it. The response from Jim immediately becomes a bit of a revelation, considering how he's previously and publicly raised concerns about the Call of Duty series under the ownership of Microsoft, going as far as saying Xbox could cause serious damage to the PlayStation brand if it releases and it wasn't delivered at the existing high standards. Previously, reports also suggest Sony refused to sign Xbox's 10-year deal, even though Microsoft highlighted how it was actually a better deal for Sony, extending this contract with the franchise beyond 2024. Here's what Microsoft had to say in a statement to Pure Xbox following this. "Today showed Sony has known all along. We'll stand by our promise to keep games on its platform, and made clear to work to lobby against the deal is only to protect its dominant position in the market." So Sony, being the dominant market leader, continues to, try to get better terms, or continues to try to submarine what's going on with Microsoft, and I think that is completely unfair. The FTC's job is to make sure that there's not a monopoly, and the only monopoly that I see so far is starting to be Sony, who apparently can buy whoever they want, do whatever they want, and they have nothing to fear from FTC or governing bodies. Yet Microsoft, as like the last place player in gaming, apparently can't do anything to stay competitive and aren't even allowed to have exclusives. I mean, you had the FTC asking Microsoft why Halo isn't on PlayStation. Like, seriously, why is Halo not on PlayStation, right? Microsoft apparently is not allowed to have any exclusives. Meanwhile, one of the higher rated games of the year is a PlayStation exclusive that they paid for. But hey, let's not talk about that, right? Because again, poor PlayStation, out in the cold, being the number one platform, number one company in gaming, they're not going to be able to make it. Poor them, right? Like, to me, that never made sense. I never bought into that nonsense. I think that it's interesting that people kind of look at Sony as, I don't know, people go, oh, well, let's not look at Microsoft as this company that's like this terrible company that the underdogs or whatever, they got so much money. We now know that they have a similar budget in terms of what they can do with Microsoft, right, of Sony. Like, they're budgeted. They can't just go out, and I know people go, oh, well, they're spending $70 billion. Phil Spencer really explained that pretty well, in my opinion, to sort of the FTC, and I thought that it was also very interesting the way that Microsoft kind of will be able to go out and do things. People wonder why they don't advertise and things like that. I think it's because now we kind of know and realize that Microsoft is budgeted. They have to kind of stand on their own. They have to do things a certain way, and as far as I can tell, I think that's something that is good for Xbox, that they have to do these things. Look, they have to be budget minded as well, and I think that is just the way of the world these days. The fact that Jim Ryan, though, has come out and said, hey, we aren't necessarily concerned about this or that or the other thing, I think that goes a long way in showcasing why Microsoft it deserves this company. They deserve to be able to go out there and compete and do the things that are needed to kind of compete and be the best that they can, because at the end of the day, you don't want, and trust me when I say this, you do not want a company to go out there and monopolize what's going on, and I'm just being as honest as I can about that. Nobody should be out there monopolizing things and taking so much advantage of what's going on in the gaming industry. Like, I don't understand how any company, any governing body could just look at this and go, let's protect Sony, let's protect Sony because Sony deserves it, right? Like, Sony's the number one player, to be quite honest with you. So I don't understand why people are out there protecting them, trying to make them out to be some under, like they're the good guys. I don't look at Sony as the good guys. Have you seen the deals that they're making? Absolutely insane. The way that they're kind of cutting everybody out, the way that they're so cutthroat with Nintendo, Sega, Microsoft. I mean, for me, as far as I can tell, I will never ever be okay with their way of doing things. So, like me or not, I don't care. That's just the way I feel about it. Let me know what you guys feel about it. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys all have a great day. Rack 'em up. I'm Crap Gamer. Crap Gamer out.